The silver Mr. Olympia medal being given by John Oliva of Twin Lab. The silver Sandow medal being given by Peter Parsons of American Bodybuilding Products. And the certificate being given by Amy Fodley of EAS. And that award goes to competitor number 18, Kevin Levrone. And the winner for the 4th year in a row, receiving the largest check in bodybuilding history to date, $110,000.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to a new video. I know I haven't posted in a little bit of time, and hopefully I'll be able to start posting more frequently in the near future. However, in today's video, I'm going to take a look back at the 1995 Mr. Olympia to see if Kevin Levrone should have beaten Dorian Yates. I personally think that both men looked excellent here. I mean, some people consider this 1995 Dorian Yates the best Dorian Yates ever seen, and I personally think that the 1995 Kevin Levrone was one of his best versions as well. So this was a very competitive Olympia, in my opinion, and, of course, Dorian took first, Kevin took second, so let's get into this comparison, see who wins each shot. So for the first front double bicep shot, I have this kind of blurry black and white photo, and of course I'll be using a clear photo in just a second, but I just wanted to point out here that the conditioning edge for Dorian Yates is pretty evident. I mean, look at the conditioning in the legs and in the upper body, not to mention the separation in the arms, and look at the bicep tear for Dorian Yates. I know it happened the year prior, however, it is still very noticeable. Kevin Levrone has some perfect symmetry here and looks great in his own right, but let's go to a colored photo. So this colored shot, once again, shows the conditioning edge that Dorian Yates has. I mean, look at the legs, guys. The quads ripped, and not to mention his huge calves. I mean, Kevin Levrone has some good calves too, and his quads are pretty big as well, but they just aren't in the same level of conditioning. Now, the upper body is an easy win in terms of the arms. The arms are an easy win for Kevin Levrone. The midsections, I'm very impressed with both men, and the lats go to Dorian Yates, but this pose as a whole would go to Kevin Levrone. So Kevin will take this shot. The front lat spread is a great pose for Dorian Yates, and Kevin Levrone also. I mean, look at Kevin Lerone's upper body. Great. And Dorian Yates is definitely beating Kevin in the actual lat department, though. Now, if we look at the legs, namely the quads, I would have to say that Kevin actually has some better looking quads here. They may not be as grainy as Dorian Yates's, but they definitely have a better, shape and flow than Dorian's. I mean, if we take a look at the actual separation itself, it's kind of odd because Dorian Yates has some pretty weird looking quads, whereas Kevin has some very beautiful and symmetrical quads. The calves would immediately go to Dorian Yates, but like I said, the upper body, look at the chest, namely, right? This is where I see a pretty big difference. Dorian Yates has a complete chest, while Kevin has a kind of washed out one. And I mean, Kevin is, of course, winning in the arm department, but that's not a huge factor in this shot. I will say Kevin looks amazing, but I'm going to give the point to Dorian Yates in this shot. The side chest pose is a pose that I've always loved Kevin Levrone in. I mean, he has 3D arms, 3D chest, always looked great in this shot. Beautiful mass and beautiful symmetry. Now, I will say in this black and white photo, man, Dorian Yates is just crushing him in the conditioning aspect. Look at the graininess throughout the whole body of Dorian Yates. Legs, arms, chest. It's crazy. It's freakish. And Kevin just doesn't have the same level of conditioning to compete, in my opinion. But he does have probably the better, thicker chest and a better arms. The chest is definitely arguable and debatable, in my opinion, though. Let's pull up another picture to get a better comparison. This colored photo reveals that Dorian Yates actually does have the advantage in the chest. And like I said before, Kevin does have the mass, but Dorian Yates is destroying him in the conditioning. So I'm going to give Dorian Yates the point in this shot. The side triceps pose is a great shot for both of these men, and unfortunately, I don't have the full body of either of them in this shot, but as we all know, Dorian Yates sticks out his humongous and massive calf, which really adds to the display. Kevin Levrone looks great here too, guys. I mean, the overall package he presents is definitely, you could say, objectively better. If you look at the tricep itself, it's bigger than Dorian Yates's. The midsection looks better for Kevin, and the symmetry really shines for Kevin Levrone in this shot. Dorian Yates would be winning the side leg, having the better, grainy conditioning, and he would definitely be winning the conditioning overall. However, look at the shoulder on Kevin. Really good here. And I mean, the arm on Kevin is just undeniably larger than Dorian Yates's. especially the tricep. I will say though, Dorian Yates has a massive arm here, and look at those forearms, guys, and that vein. The vein is crazy, guys. But I mean, if I had to choose between these two guys as a fair judge, I'd probably give it to Kevin Levrone for the symmetry because the conditioning disparity isn't too crazy here. So I'm going to give it to Kevin. Just a second to look at the Christmas tree regions for both men, and wow, Dorian Yates has some really good conditioning in the lower lat and Christmas tree region. Now, both men appear to be in pretty good conditioning from the lower half. However, we will see, what happens in the two rear poses. Here we have the rear lat spread pose, and both men look really good here. I mean, Kevin Levrone was never known for having the best back, or really never known for his back, but you guys can see that he has a great back and a great set of hamstrings and glutes. I mean, the conditioning was really good for him. Now, I know this picture isn't the most flattering for Dorian Yates. The black and white photo of Kevin Levrone does him more justice, and this photo does not do Dorian Yates any justice at all. However, if we take a look at his back, even in this, bad photo, we can clearly see that Dorian Yates has better conditioning and just a better back overall. I mean, the graininess and the density even comes through a shot like this. Now, the glutes and the hamstrings don't appear to be as conditioned, but that's just because of the lighting and the camera angle. The calves are massive as always, and I didn't mention, but look at Kevin Levrone's calves. Amazing. Now, let's go to another picture that actually shows the conditioning better for Dorian Yates. Okay, so this shot here actually puts Dorian Yates in a more flattering angle, and as you guys can see, it is Domination City in the lower body now. I mean, the last shot, Dorian Yates didn't even appear to be flexing his lower body, but now the hamstrings, the glutes, the calves, phenomenal for Dorian Yates, and the back, just as conditioned as before. Kevin Levrone looks great in his own right, but just doesn't have the conditioning and separation in any of the parts of the body that Dorian Yates has. So Dorian Yates takes this pose. The rear double bicep shot is a good pose for Kevin Levrone, but an amazing shot for Dorian Yates. If we look at the arm department, I think Kevin Levrone would be winning that bicep tricep brachialis combination. However, Dorian Yates would be winning in the forearms. The back is an easy win for Dorian Yates because he has the conditioning, graininess, and overall mass that Kevin Levrone doesn't have. And that is very clear if we look at the lower back region for both men. Dorian Yates fills out his back to a T, while, Kevin Levrone doesn't have that same level of density. Dorian Yates would be taking the lower body here, having better conditioned hamstrings and better separated glutes, and we saw that in the other shots too. However, I will say that Kevin Levrone doesn't look all too bad in the lower body, having pretty decent glutes and pretty decent hamstrings. Not to mention the calves look pretty good for Kevin as well. However, Dorian Yates is definitely winning in the calf department and has a better back, so he would definitely win this rear double biceps shot. In the abs and thigh shot, I am extremely surprised by Dorian Yates' pretty good presentation here. I mean, look at the flaring lats and the relatively small midsection. Very impressive for Dorian Yates, not to mention his quads are pretty separated and are huge. Now, I will tell you guys that I do prefer Kevin Levrone here. I mean, genetically speaking, he has the smaller midsection and the better abdominals. He has an equally as impressive V-taper, and he has the shape and the symmetry in the leg department that Dorian Yates does not have. So it's kind of a toss-up because do you guys prefer the freak factor or do you prefer the symmetry? And for me, I prefer symmetry, and here, that is what Kevin Levrone is displaying. So therefore, I'm going to give Kevin Levrone the point in the abs and thigh shot. This most muscular shot is an amazing pose for Kevin Levrone. I mean, the 3D delts and arms just scream in your face and stand out like crazy, whereas Dorian Yates' arms and shoulders don't really, have that effect. I will tell you that Dorian Yates is easily winning in the conditioning, having that trademark bone dry, graininess that Dorian Yates always presented. However, Kevin Levrone's 3D muscle bellies, the fullness, the roundness is just too much in a shot like this for Dorian Yates. And I think Kevin Levrone will easily take the point here. So that about does it for my comparison between Dorian Yates and Kevin Levrone at the 1995 Mr. Olympia event. To summarize for you guys, I had Dorian Yates winning the front lat spread, the side chest, the rear lat spread, and the rear double bicep poses, while I had Kevin Levrone winning the front double bicep, the side tricep, the abs and thigh, and the most muscular shots. Just before I end this comparison, I want to tell you guys that there is definitely an argument out there for Dorian Yates winning some of the poses that he lost, namely the side tricep pose, which I only gave to Kevin Levrone because I definitely preferred his symmetry and the shape overall. However, I could 100% see an argument out there for Dorian Yates winning it purely based off of the conditioning and the presentation alone. So that means that this comparison ended up in a 4-4, a tie, which, like I said just before this, is purely my opinion, and I'd be 100% open to hearing what you guys think about this comparison, about my opinions. So please leave your comments down below, like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope to see you guys in the near future, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching. I'll see you guys soon.